Hello everyone, welcome back, unless you found me through this video, in which case I guess just hello. So a couple months ago I made a video covering my favorite mods in TF2, at least at the time, and it was an okay video, and I'm not gonna really be covering the same things I did in that video. However, 5 months later I realized pretty low quality video, my microphone really bad, my voice sounded awful. It hasn't changed in 5 months, mind you, but it sounded like I was trying to make my voice sound lower. Basically, really awkward video. Plus, since then I found a lot more mods and in-game settings that I really think are worth sharing with you. So I'm going to be expanding this video to not just be custom mods, but also just be in-game settings that I think make the game look better, or just, play better. Things that I would recommend to other people. Some of them might help performance, some of them might hurt performance. I'll cover as much as I can, but you're gonna have to use, common sense, whether or not you think it's worth using these. So enough talking, enough chit chat. Let's, jump straight into the listings. So to get the obvious one out of the way, custom HUDs. The default HUD in TF2 doesn't look that great. It's alright, but it's really cluttery. There's tons of stuff everywhere. And realistically, when you're playing, you just want as minimal information as possible, like your health, your ammo, the time limit, your team color. Basically, if you get a custom HUD, it's a lot easier to read all this info without having to worry about like boxes and, screen clutter. So as for me, I have FUNKe, very innovative name, I know. It's a HUD I made a couple months ago and I've been upkeeping. It's a custom version of Ray's HUD. If you'd prefer to just go get Ray's HUD, you can go get that instead. There are a lot of good places you can go pick up HUDs. Game Banana. I prefer to use HUDs.tf because that's literally just a website made for checking out HUDs. It has screenshots, everything you need. It's all preference. There's no perfect HUD. It's just having all the info you need. If a HUD gives you your health and your ammo and all that, it's all up to preference on what you're going to use. As for my HUD, you can pick it up at my Steam group or just a description of pretty much any of my videos. Although I will warn you, if you go to any of my older videos, you'll end up getting my old HUD, which is outdated now. If you're wondering why I switched HUDs a while ago to my new one, it's because my old one's really hard to keep up and people were having trouble downloading it because of the fonts. Basically, I got tired of it and I switched over to this new one that I've been upkeeping. Enough about that, let's move on to the next thing on the list. Next thing I'm going to be talking about is just some basic commands you should probably already know about. Hopefully you do. If you don't, what have you been doing with your life? First thing, FOV_desired. So the highest you can set this to is 90. What FOV is basically how much on your screen you can see, just how wide your eyes work basically in game. It's capped at 90 because if it's too high, it's unplayable and you get like too much of an advantage. So they capped it at 90 and that's what you should have it set to. You can also set your view model _FOV to pretty much any number in the book. I prefer to set mine to 70 to 75. I switch it around sometimes. Now if your view model FOV is too high, you're going to see the inside of your hands, which is a problem. And if it's too low, it's going to block a lot of your screen. So this is all preference. You could always turn off view models with some command I can't remember. Sorry about that. But if it is blocking your screen, there is a way around that, which is transparent view models, which I'll talk about later. I still have more basic commands to talk about, bear with me. I'm also going to assume you have damage numbers on, which you can turn on through your advanced options. You need to have this on so you can call damage numbers, especially if you're in competitive. This is like a necessity. Once that's on, you're going to notice it's all individual numbers. So if you're playing Pyro and you're burning someone, it's just going to be like 666666666. You don't want that. So you're going to need the command HUD_combat text batching 1. That's a mouthful. What this does is it adds all the numbers up, so instead of just giving you a bunch of individual, you'll be able to just get the full number and you can be like, damn, snap, okay, he took 170. That's good. That'll help your team. You can't help your team if all you see is 6, 6, 5, 4, 2, 2, 12, 13, 15, mini crit, 13, 12, crit. And the last basic command that comes to mind is probably CL_interp, and pretty much all those interp settings, which I don't know enough about individually to get into, severe detail on what they do. Basically, the interp settings are what it looks like when you shoot your weapons, where it comes out of your barrel. With the default settings, there's sort of a minor gap in between when you shoot it and when it actually comes out. If you can adjust your interp settings, it's pretty much going to be like instantaneous, or at least a lot faster. And it's going to help your aim a lot, trust me. I'll put suggested commands in the description on the screen or whatever. Mine's set at 0 and the rest of the settings are at fucking whatever. You'll figure it out. Go Google if you really want more information. Why'd you come to this video for information? Your fault, not mine. Didn't I say this was a mods video? Why haven't I really talked about any mods yet? Man, I'm a big liar. Alright buddy, here's one that you can talk about. Hoff's Tasty Light Warp. So if you don't know what light warps are, you can kind of think of it as how light hits the characters. If you mess with the light warps, usually you can get them to look more cartoony, or you can get them to look, you know, super dark or deep. Hoff's Tasty Light Warp gives a bit of a purplish shine onto all of the players. It looks really good, especially with the TF2 aesthetic, which generally goes for a really cartoony feel. The mod itself is pretty old, but it was never really directly put out on Game Banana or anywhere else people downloaded it. It was just in the TF2 Emporium. So I'm going to go ahead and have it downloaded in the description if you really want to go try it out yourself. I recommend it. It's definitely something you're going to notice, although it's not something you need to play. It just looks nice. So have fun with that. Okay, so if you saw my last custom mods video, you'll know I really hyped up Matfong 0, which I still like. But since that video came out, Valve made the command r_rimlight0 usable in any game. Originally, it was just technically a cheat, so you could not change it in normal gameplay. But since you can use it now, I like to think of r_rimlight0 as sort of an in-between Matfong 0 and 1. The good thing about it is, though, Matfong 0 broke so many things. Australians looked like straight-up cheese. A lot of MVM props were just dead black. A lot of issues with it. But r_rimlight0 doesn't have any of those issues. It just sort of gets rid of that shine on the players, that grayish shine, and keeps it looking nice. I like it. I've used it like ever since the command came out. I have Matfong 1 set nowadays, so if you still want to use Matfong 0, that's fine. But personally, I think I've been enjoying this a lot more. I get a lot of questions about this next thing I'm about to talk about, and that's the no smoke script. What this does is it pretty much changes all explosions, sticky bombs, rocket launchers, from the big smoky red explosion into the small little blue saber explosion. You might be wondering, why would you do this? Well, when you're playing competitively or just you're trying to actually see things, rocket explosions are very, very annoying. So it's really good to get rid of the explosions, because when they're so tiny, they're not going to, you know, get in your way or make it harder to aim at anything. They're just going to give you an indication that you hit somewhere and move on. It's great. Now, you might think this is something I only really use because I main Scout and 6s, but a null movement script, what this basically does is if you go and hit A and D on your keyboard mid-game, like right now, it's probably going to cancel out your movement. You're not going to be able to move at all until you only go a certain way. What a null movement script does is if you hit both buttons, it's going to override whatever your second button was and just keep going. This is really good if you're playing like Scout and you need to be able to dodge, because you do not want to stand still. So if you hit both buttons, you're just going to slow down. What a null movement script does is you're constantly moving. You won't have to worry about canceling it out and not moving just because you hit two buttons at once. It'll keep moving. Realistically, this isn't going to completely change your gameplay. It's only for when you're 1v1ing a Scout and you're super predictable because you stood still there. Now you don't have to worry about that. Go pick it up. So we're getting near the end of the video. I realize most of the things I've talked about have not really been mods. When you hear the word mod, you think of like Fempyros or weapon skins or something like that. When I think of mods, I generally think of changing the game with things like, you know, small mod scripts, things like that. So apologies if you were misled by the video or anything. But we're getting on to one of my favorite mods on the list, which is transparent view models. Transparent view models being your hands and weapons are now see-through. So if you had to worry about your view models sort of blocking part of your screen, you don't have to worry about that now. You can see through them. I know what you're thinking, why don't you just turn them off? Well, the thing about completely turning off view models is, as for me at least, I aim better when I know what I'm holding and I feel like I legitimately have a weapon in my hand that I'm shooting. So transparent view models is way better than having no view models at all. Doesn't help that I played the game for nearly 7,000 hours, and about 5,000 hours of those are probably just on Valve servers with like completely vanilla settings. So I guess it just comes to me better that I have like a transparent view model so I can still see what I'm holding. I don't know. This is part of your HUD technically, so if you want to get it, you'll have to edit your HUD a little bit to add the settings in. If you download my HUD, I already have like the whole thing installed. It's just turned off. You can turn it back on by editing one of the files and making it visible. I'm not going to talk about it though. Obviously, a lot of the things here you can figure out on your own if you go to the, you know, installation page and get all the information you need. There are going to be people who comment, how do I get it? Where do I put this? You can put everything into your auto-exec config file if you don't know what that is. Again, Google it. I'm going to reiterate this so many times because I know I'm going to get a ton of comments that are like, how do I download this? The download's broken. How do I put it? How do I install it? Look up the installation. Google it. It's not hard. Please. I know a lot of you do have common sense. You're going to get along just fine. And I appreciate that. I like you people. You know, if you want to suggest me any mods to talk about or anything like that, feel free to tell me about it. I'll probably bring it up next time if I ever do another one of these, which probably will like a year from now when more mods come out. as of right now, you know, you're kind of running low. There's not much to talk about, which is obviously why my list was sort of short today. But I digress. Thank you for coming around. Thank you for listening to this. I hope you have a great day. Or not. Maybe you're a dick. Maybe you're a serial killer, in which case I hope you have a terrible day. Goodbye.